Today on JiK Labs, we're going to talk about quick navigation shortcuts as well as sorting and some filtering. Let's get started. Okay, here we are back with the data that we started to enter last week. We have our invoice, date, salesperson, cost, sales amount, and we worked through some equations to get us GP dollars as well as the GP percentages. We also did totaling down below as well as max, min, average, and count features. If you're interested in seeing those videos, check out our video either here, there, or probably best for us to put in the description below. But since then, we've added some more sales data. As you can see, we have still our columns, and we've added a couple more rows of data. So what we want to do today is quickly discuss how to quickly navigate your data. You can always click and scroll and get to where you need to go, but that can be time consuming with all the data that could be present. You can also press the down arrow key, which if you start at A1, it's going to take you forever, and your keyboard is not going to like you very much. So there are a couple of shortcuts that get you to where you need to be very quickly. Let's say you want to get to the end of everything. If you press and hold Control and the End key, it will jump you down to the very end of your Excel sheet. As you can see, we're now in G82. That's our last bit of data. You'll notice that the borders are still going because when we did the bordering, we selected all columns and highlighted the borders that way. We are down here at G82 and we want to get back to cell A1. Well, we could scroll, we could press the arrow key, but also the shortcut to do that is to press and hold Control and hit your home key. And here we are right back in the A1. It's a very quick and easy shortcut that gets you around. Let's say we're here in F9, or we can be all the way over here in U. It doesn't really matter. Let's just say we want to get back to column A. If we hit the home key, it will jump us in that row all the way back to column A. Some other tricks that you can use with the N key is if you hit the N key and any of the arrow keys, it will jump to the end of the last bit of where your data is. So right now let's hit the N key and we're going to hit the down arrow. And it takes us all the way down to cell 81 because that's the last spot where there is any data. And that's cell A81. I apologize. And if we do that again, arrow key and hit the right key, it's only going to take us to E. Likely so if we hit the N key and up, that's going to take us to E1. It doesn't jump all the way back to the beginning like Control Home and Control End. It just takes you in that row or in that column to the last place that you have data. So if we're back in A2 and we do the same thing again with the right arrow, it takes us to the GP column. But let's go down to row 9 and let's do the same exact thing. Well, it's only taking us to E because it only end with the arrow key only jumps you to the last place that there's data. Now let's just say, for example, let's scroll down here and I'm going to delete all the data in this row on cell 38 and we're in A2 again and we do the same thing, Control N, and we hit the down key. It only takes us to 37 because it's like a little moat and our little cursor guy can't jump that moat. So it takes us to the last place that there is data. But we want to keep that data there. So again, if we hit Control Z, undo, that brings all that data back for us. Before we get into filtering and sorting our data, we need to complete the equations for GP dollars and GP percentages. We did not fill them in when we filled in the rest of our data. There's a few ways you could do about this. You could go and type that equation in every single time, which nobody wants to do. It's a waste of time. You can highlight these cells, use the autofill, click and drag down, but sometimes you get the yo-yo effect. So you go too far, you go too fast. Excel's gotten better with that in new iterations of it. But another way we could do it is we can copy, leave that highlight. We could scroll down to the end, and if we press and hold Shift and click, that highlights everything, and we can right-click and say paste, or we can just hit Control V for paste. And if you'll see, we hit our all the way down to the bottom. Now our equations are fully filled in. Now that we're back up in F1, just to make sure all the equations copied, we can hit end in the down arrow and see that we have this data all the way through. Another thing we want to look at is selecting all of our data. If you're clicked anywhere within the confines of your data and hit Control A, that will highlight all of your data. You can see we have columns A through G, 1 through 81, and that's all of our data. Now that we have all of our data entered and our equations copied down, we're ready to sort through some of this data. Last week we spent a lot of time in the Home ribbon to do formatting, number formatting, borders, etc. Today we're going to go to the Data ribbon. So you click on Data and it brings up a bunch of options. Right now we're going to focus on Sort. There's some quick formatting. You can go small to large or large to small. How that works is, let's just say we're in column A. We want to, right now these invoices are in ascending order. If we want to put them in descending order, we can come over here and hit Z to A, and bam, it's pretty much reversed our data. Likely so, if we come over to sales and we want to see largest to smallest, we can do that same thing and we'll scroll down and see that the numbers are slowly getting smaller. But for now, let's put things back the way they were. That's by clicking in the column is how these items will sort. So if we click back and go A to Z, everything's back in order. We can hit Control A to highlight all of our data. Or if we're just clicked within the confines of our data, we come up here and hit this sort window. A new box will appear. You can sort by multiple different levels, but today we're only going to do one sorting to keep it easy. Excel also recognized that we have headers, and it's going to exclude row 1 from our sorting. If we were to uncheck that box, this would be highlighted and sorted with the rest of our data. And we can see down here, sort by, it's column A through G. If we check that again, it pulls in our header data. So we want to sort by sales. And we're going to go largest to smallest. Same thing as before. Now the sales amounts are in descending order. Never mind invoice, never mind the person. But for now, we're going to leave everything in order because that's a basic way of sorting through your data. You could do that for any column, any order that you wish. Now let's look at some filtering. Filtering is also in the Data tab. It's over here. You can Control A, all of your data, and hit the Filter tab. And back here at the top, you'll notice that we have these little drop-down menus. When you click on the drop-down menu, it all again has sorting built into it. We could do smallest to largest, largest to smallest. It's the same process. Again, now our invoice numbers are largest to smallest. Well, one thing, let's put this back. So what filtering allows us to do is to come in, for example, we only want to see Jack and Sophia's sales. So we're going to click down this drop-down menu. Right now it says select all. If we click this and unselect everybody, the check marks are gone, we can come in here and check Jack and Sophia. Hit OK, and now all of our data will just show us Jack and Sophia's information. If you'll notice here in C1 where the drop-down box is, the arrow has gotten small and we see the little filter logo. This is telling us that column C is filtered. Likely so, we can come over to date and we can unselect all, and let's just say we want to see all of May's invoices for Jack and Sophia. So we've done that and we hit OK. Well, we can see in May that there was only 3 invoices, and here's the data that coincides with that. Now column B and column C both have the filter logo showing us that our data is sorted by this. Now let's say we want to see everybody again, all of the data. We can come in here, hit select all, come into C, hit select all. If we go back up to the ribbon and hit clear, it will show us all of our data again, saving you the step to have to go through every single column in which you may have filtered out some data. Another nice thing with the filter is if you hit the drop down arrow in sales amount, again we can select all or unselect all, select the sales that we want to see, or in this case we want to filter the numbers. We want to say greater than or equal to. This will open up a new window. We want to see everything that was greater than or equal to 500. And we're going to hit OK. And now it's showing us all of the sales that are greater than equal to 500. Likely so, if we were to go back in, hit this again, greater than equal than, now let's just say greater than equal than 2,000, because that should narrow down our results a little bit more. We hit OK. Now it is filtering all sales above $2,000. You could see before that the data was below the page, and now it is just a subset of data. One other thing when you have data filtered is you can come over here and see that these cells are blue. Normally the numbers over here are black, and this is showing you that it is filtered. And see this between 4 and 6, 7 and 9, 15 and 18. That means that the data has been hidden more or less due to the filter requirements that you've entered. Now that we have filtered all of our sales to $2,000 or greater, we also want to filter it down a little bit more by looking at GP percentages, and we want to look at the sales that are greater than or equal to $2,000 and also higher than 60% margin. So we hit this drop down menu, we can go filter numbers, again greater than or equal to, and since these are percentages, we're going to go 0.6 because that is 60% and hit OK. Before I do that, we can also come in here and say it's less than or equal to, or less than equal to, but we're going to leave it to greater than or equal to 0.6. We're going to hit OK, and we can see that our data sample has been filtered further, and we're seeing a little less data. We're done with this search or filtering. We just come up top to the ribbon and we hit clear, and now all of our data is back to where it was. I should tell you, when you are filtering your data, it is still there. It has not disappeared. They've just hidden it for the parameters of the filter that you have set forth. One more topic before we move on with the filtering feature. Let's go back to salesperson and let's hit the drop down menu. Let's just say we have hundreds of salespeople or whatever the case may be, but there's also a search field. So we can come in here and type Bob, and then see Excel is saying, hey, you have Bob. Okay, great. Let's highlight him and only show him. And now we have Bob. Let's do the same thing again, but we're going to search for Jack. Jack's going to pop up. Now if we were just to hit OK right here, it would only show us Jack. But if we check this box, it will add Jack to our current filtering. So we'll see both Jack and Bob. And there you go. Alright, so now that we've looked at those couple things, let's look at one more filtering, and that's between. So let's look at cost. And we're going to filter numbers again, and we were going to say between. We're going to say it's greater than or equal to $300 and less than or equal to 1,000. And we hit OK. And now we can see we picked too big of a sample because it's still off the screen. But we can again see that this filter is in fact filtered. So it's just we picked too big of a range. Let's come back in. We're going to say between, let's say 1,000 and 1,500, and we'll hit OK. And then see, now we have a much more filtered set of data. Again, all of our data is still there, it's just hiding behind the scenes. Next, let's get rid of the filter, and now all of our data is back. Now that we've talked about sorting and filtering your data, we want to look at one more thing, which is conditional formatting. Conditional formatting is nice. It allows you to bring a little visualization to your data. It can highlight high and low numbers. It can select the top 10 or even a percentages of your data. That is not done here in the data tab. That will actually need to go back to the home tab on the home ribbon, and here's conditional formatting. So we want to bring out all the negative GP invoices. So we're going to go to GP percent, highlight G, so all the data in this column. We're going to click on conditional formatting, and then we're going to see it already comes with some preset features. Right now let's look at color scale, and we're going to select this first one, and we're going to take a look at it. You're going to see that the high numbers are green and the lower the number it gets is red. And that's what we're looking for in this particular case, because we can see very quickly as we scroll through good numbers, ooh, really bad number, not good number, very not good numbers, and so on and so forth. It allows us to bring a visual representation to our data. Now, if we come in here, we highlight G again. If we want to clear that, we come in here and clear the row from the selected cells and we're done. Now let's say you wanted to do that for everything across the board. Well, you can, but if you do it all once, let's just look at the preview, you're going to get this set up because the percentages are much smaller numbers. They're all going to show up as red because you highlighted every single column at once. To do conditional formatting, if you want each column individually, you'll have to do each column one at a time. So let's clear all that data. Let's go into conditional formatting, and we're just going to pick this first one. Same thing with GP dollars. And we'll work our way through. Same thing, and we can just see. So now each column has its own conditional formatting. So we can see that this negative GP and GP percentage is red, and the negative dollars is also red, where if we come down to Alice's sale, we can see that 90% gross margin, which is very good, is green, as well as her GP dollars, which is her sales amount minus her cost, is also green. It brings a little bit of visualization to your data to make it a little bit quicker and easier to read. Now let's just sort this largest or smallest to largest. So now we're going to see that the GP percentage is very red, and it's the direct correlation of GP dollars being negative that you'll have a very negative GP percentage. And we can see here as we scroll that both of these columns, considering their correlations, will go from dark red to more green as we go. So GP dollars, we're at 98%. That is as green as you can get. Now that we have it conditionally formatted and it is filtered, if we highlight all these columns, because none of the data is hidden, we can come back up here, clear the rule for the selected cells. Now, I said you should do each column individually as you're setting the formatting, but you can clear all the rules all at once. That was a quick look at conditional formatting. You can come in here. Additionally, with conditional formatting, there are many set features that you can select: top 10, top percentages. And if you select top 10, it's going to bring up a new window where you can say, well, I want to see the top 15. And we'll highlight those green. And we're going to hit OK. Oh, I don't see anything. Well, let's scroll down a little bit. That's because we've sorted this largest to smallest. That's why all of these guys are down here. Again, highlight, clear the data, and all the data is there, or all the conditional formatting is gone. We're going to put these back in numerical invoice order, and we're going to do it one more time. We're going to go conditional formatting and just look around. Data bars, same thing as the colored boxes, but now this has a bar graph, blue for good, red for not so good. And you can just play around with them. There's a lot of set features that you can utilize that Microsoft allows you to easily visualize your data. Now you can create your own rules. Come in here, set all this data. You can have a 2-color scale, set the colors that you want, but we're not going to look at that today. But use your data. Make your blank workbook, put in some data, and play with all the features we've gone over today. One more thing to note about filtering. We were in the data ribbon with filter and sorting, but also on the home tab off to the right, it is here for you as well. Sort and filter, it is just more than one place to do it. So just keep that in mind. Thanks for joining JiK Labs today as we looked over some quick navigational shortcuts as well as some filtering and sorting of your Excel data. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave us a comment down below. If we haven't covered a feature that you would like to see, let us know, and we'll be sure to cover it sooner or later. Thanks and have a great day. Yeah, crazy eyes. Today on JiK Labs, we're going to talk about quick, and we hit the end key. Doesn't do anything.